There we go. Sup, ladies and gentlemen, Ackle on here, and welcome back to each one of you. And of course, if you're watching this over on YouTube, please remember to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and also click the link in the description down below, because it is always better when it's live. Happy Tuesday to each one of you, and of course, welcome back. I hope that your week is okay-ish. The start of the week is never good, let's be real. Yeah, it's always rough, you know, it's always rough getting back into the grind. So, yeah. You know, I hope that you guys enjoy it. I hope that you'll enjoy it a bit more. Watching the stream, hanging out, it's what I do. My job is to entertain you and hopefully take your mind off of the bullshit, you know, just for a short amount of time, and then give you something new to think about that is also bullshit. Which is also what I do very well. I don't think this is relaxing to watch my streams. I may not do what I think I do, honestly. Because we talk a lot of crap in this stream. Let's be honest. I do actually have to quickly do a couple of things here. Things that I have forgotten to do. Okay, this one we can edit and go to save, and then also export that to YouTube. Why not? And then this one is 43, and export that one to YouTube. That should be alright. We're up to date with all the exports to YouTube. This one will be exported, obviously, as well. All right. I think that's fine. Yeah, I think that's good. Now we're just waiting for people to filter in, come hang out. Tuesdays is always slow. I don't know why. I think most people on a Tuesday are so busy with meetings and fucking emails and useless work crap. So Tuesdays usually take a while to populate, which it's very strange because it means I have to sit here and basically, you know, try to entertain myself. What else am I supposed to fucking do? It sucks talking to yourself. Like, I don't know how some people do it. I'm gonna be honest with you, like especially brand new streamers. Matt Saints, how you doing, brother? I don't know how I did it. Mr. Dilly1, how you doing, brother? Like, when you first start streaming, you're streaming for no people whatsoever, like zero people. Lunari, how you doing? CDJ, how you doing, brother? Like you're streaming for zero people, yeah. When you first start streaming, I don't know how people do that. Like, I don't know how I did it. Like, I don't know. Genuinely speaking, Coinrich, how you doing, brother? Sorry, I'm just quickly setting up my new bank card on Final Fantasy, because kind of fucking have to, you know. Butanek, how you doing, brother? I have read. Yes, it's fine. I got a new bank card because the old one expired. And now I have to sort of, like, fucking set this one up as well. Dillabos, how you doing, brother? I have no idea either. Well, I hope you're doing well. Hey, I can't complain. Fuck. I'm having the time of my life. Sorry, guys. So many one-time pins that needs to be inserted and sort of updated. It's really annoying. All of this for a single fucking payment. It's ridiculous. Anyway, Zero Kool-Aid, how you doing, brother? The fuck? Sign me in, Jesus. All right, fine, I'll do it again. All right, so apparently the first time didn't work. Now we do it again. So annoying. King Julian, how you doing, bro? Old Grumpster, how you doing, brother? Yes. That's fine. Motherfucker, just add the funds. Holy shit. Are you fucking for real? Just set up the goddamn payment. I don't get this. Why is this a thing? I hate my life so much. Why is everything asking me for pens and stuff today? Okay, thank you. Jesus. Did I do that payment now, or? Yeah, I did do the payment, okay. Why is it saying I didn't do the payment? What the fuck? How is the what are you talking about? The transaction is cancelled. It's obviously not cancelled. Motherfucker. Sorry guys, I don't know why this thing is being so difficult with me. I literally just saw the money go out of my account. What do you mean? It's obviously it is authorized. I fucking authorized it myself. Alright, fine, agree and continue. I'll do it again. Ryu, thanks for the 2 and sub. Did really appreciate that. 8 months in a row. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Actually, it's not the Mark Station. The Mark Station is not being difficult today. Today it's the fucking Steam account that's being difficult. Like, Steam is throwing me back and forth. You know? An error has occurred. What the actual fuck? Oh my lord, dude. I'm hating my life right now. Come on, bro. Just do your thing, please. Maybe it is Mark Station that's being difficult. Can't be Steam. No, okay, never mind. Okay, I think it's working now. We'll quickly see. Thank you, motherfucker. Thank you. Okay, the account should now be active again. There we go. All this I just had to go through because I got a new bank card. It is so annoying. It is just ridiculous. Anyways, thank fuck that's done. Okay. I don't think it's Steam, it's the user. No, literally is Steam. Steam just kept, like, I click authorize the payment, and then Steam goes, an error has occurred. And then it kicks me back out to the Mark Station. And then the Mark Station says, cancelled. Request cancelled. I'm like, I didn't cancel fuck. Steam is just being a dick. Witch Doctor, how you doing, bro? Thanks for the first time chat, man. Really appreciate that. Guess I'm a bad luck jump. No. Don't worry about it. It's not you. It's me. It's South Africa. It's just, take your pick. There's like a bunch of things that causes bad luck for me. And I happen to live literally among all of them. So, no, it really isn't you. You don't have to worry about that. Don't use Steam for Final Fantasy, and so happy about it. I've heard about a lot of issues using Steam. I sadly bought Final Fantasy on Steam, so I don't know how not to use Steam for Final Fantasy. I could probably just set up a straight one, you know. If I really wanted to, I could probably just do that. Just set up a straight payment, you know. From New Zealand myself, I think New Zealand is better than South Africa, gonna be honest. At least you guys can call yourselves a first world country, you know. We can't do that here. We don't have that luxury. I bought off the official site, Echo. I got the official launcher. I don't use the launcher. There's like an app that you can use that bypasses the launcher entirely. Zikon, yeah, I'm not gonna do that because for the most part, like for the last, I've been subbed now to Final Fantasy for 300 days. Yeah, and for the most part, I've had 0 issues. Every single month, Steam takes the money out of my bank card, and Final Fantasy takes the money out of my Steam wallet. It's easy, like no problems. It was literally just now because my Final Fantasy subscription lapsed on Sunday because my card expired. Right, I didn't have, like, I was still waiting for my new card to arrive. It took like fucking longer than expected. It arrived this morning, so I had to add a new card to my Steam account, and then I had to update the game. Obviously, now I have to update Final Fantasy to say, hey, you can now take the money again because I now have a new card on my Steam account. And then Steam just sort of went, excuse me, fuck you. We don't think you should be allowed to pay us money. So that was weird. Steam didn't want my money for some reason. More of a 1.5 world country. 1.5. So you guys think you're better than first world countries? Pringles, how you doing, brother? Happy to have all of you here. How's your weeks going, people? Good week, bad week? What was the start of your week like? I didn't see you guys yesterday. I had so much shit that I had to do. Well, third is worse. Yes. Like, third world countries. So basically, you have first world countries, you have third world countries, and then you have, it's not really called second world countries. It's more like, developing nations, I guess you could say. Although these days, they throw most of the third world countries into the developing nations bracket as well. But you have that sort of mix, right? Where the country is kind of first world, but not quite, but it's also kind of third world, but not quite, sort of thing. Just grinding Bard and Black Mage to 90. Echo servers have only been back up for Final Fantasy for like an hour. Servers were down for ages for maintenance, and what's it like now that it's back? So out of South Africa then, Echo, third world? No, South Africa would be one of those developing nations. So South Africa has all of the infrastructure. If you ever move here, maybe you decide you want to come here for holiday or like a workation or some shit like that, yeah? If you ever move here, you'd find that South Africa has all of the luxuries that you would expect in a first world country, especially in Cape Town. So Cape Town has been voted the most Instagrammable city on earth, yeah? It's a gorgeous city. It's like it's one of the most beautiful cities in the world. It's got all of the first world amenities that you could possibly fucking want. You know, we've got running water, lights, all that shit. Everything works most of the time. So it feels like a first world country. But then after a while, so if you've spent like a year and a half here, you'll start to realize that, hey, there are cracks. There's things that you have in the rest of the world that you do miss here, you know. For example, Amazon. You know, you don't really have Amazon here. You could order from Amazon, but you're going to pay through your fucking nose on shipping, and you're going to wait quite a while for your goods to arrive. Jenny Beans, how you doing? Dakeen, how you doing? Always curious, what do Africans think of big game hunters in general? Don't mind them at all. The only people that mind hunting are people that don't have a fucking clue what they're talking about because they've done no research. They've read an article by some guy that knows nothing that says hunting is really bad and it's killing animals and shit, and then they just go, oh my god, yes, that confirms my bias. I'm just gonna go with that. Because if you know shit about hunting, I grew up on hunting farms. My dad is a farmer. He lives literally in the center of hunting country in South Africa, Limpopo. So I can tell you what the money is used for, and I can tell you what would happen if you banned hunting. I can literally tell you that millions upon millions of animals will be slaughtered overnight. Within a week, they would basically decimate all of their animal stocks. So all of those animals that you think you're protecting, they have zero value if you remove hunting. Zero. They have zero value. They literally just cost money. So those farmers would have no reason to keep them alive because then they would actually switch to cattle or they would switch to plantations or shit like that. So the fact of the matter is you remove hunting, you remove most utility from those animals except for the government then basically trying to keep their numbers up, and they die out. Why do you think there's almost no rhinos left in the world? I can tell you why. Because rhinos are extremely expensive to breed with. They require a lot of care, and they have zero utility outside of looking at them. And you don't make enough money with people just wanting to look at them to justify having them. So most farmers don't have them. If you open hunting on rhinos, and I guarantee you this, if you made rhino hunting legal and you made the export of rhino horns legal, there would be so many rhinos, we would need to kill some in order to not overpopulate the earth with rhinos. Right now they have zero utility. They're basically just a drain on resources. Good insight. Always good to hear firsthand. I can tell you what farmers use the money on that hunters spend. They use it to improve water circulation, to improve water availability for their animals. They use it to buy food for their animals during the winter when there's not enough rainfall and not enough grass. They use it to further conservation efforts. So hunting money, the money that comes from the hunters, are physically used to have more animals. That's why they use it. So the idea that you ban hunting, you have to then ask yourself, but what then is the utility of something? So let's take, for example, a moose. Yeah? If you banned the hunting of moose, what is the moose's utility? But outside of wanting to look at it, what utility does that moose have? Remember the horns make your dick big? Well, so here's the thing, right? You can actually remove the horns of a rhino without killing it, because it does grow back. It's like nails. It grows back. A lot of the farmers that do sort of keep rhinos as their way of trying to save the rhino species will actually cut the horns to stop poachers from cutting the horns off. Because when poachers do it, they kill the animal. Because they try to get every last bit of the horn off. So they actually cut into the fucking nose and skin and shit. But if you're a farmer, you literally just remove it at the skin, cut it off, and it will regrow. I think it takes like 2 years or something, and the horn actually regrows. We thought Australia was a second world country for some reason. Why would Australia be classed as a second world country? It's basically taking a thing that is purely altruistic and giving it a monetary incentive. More people will be interested in conservation if the animals make them money. Well, Witch Doctor, that's exactly it, right? This is where you sort of utilize the free market to get the net value and net positive for society. Because if you just ask someone to be altruistic, very few people are purely altruistic. But if you tell them, hey, you can be rich being also altruistic, right? Which isn't really altruism, because the whole point of altruism is you do it for literally no gain, which is not possible. There's no one that is purely altruistic. Like, nothing you do in this world is simply altruistic. But the fact of the matter is you're basically incentivizing people to do good stuff. And if you utilize the free market like that, it just benefits everyone. Because now you're giving people incentive to be good. Versus the oil companies that have only incentive to destroy the fucking planet. Like, you could probably get that with oil as well. We just need to figure out how. Maybe incentivize them. So you say, if you're an oil company and you drill for oil, that's fine. But if you make an effort to plant new, plant new forests, or you make an effort to better or lower the pollution that oil causes, or some shit like that. So when we can actively see that you're making an effort to try and minimize your impact on the environment, we give you tax breaks and stuff like that. As an oil company, you'd probably be able to then also utilize the free market in quite an interesting way to lead to a net benefit, a net positive for all of society. That's the idea of psychological egoism. Jackmaster, meaning what? What is the idea of psychological egoism? That's what it is for rhinos right now, though, because other than zoos, there are only super valuable to poachers. Exactly. And they're very expensive. In terms of the land that they take up. Like, if you have one rhino, I believe you need something like 500 hectares for a single rhino. So, you need an incredible amount of space for a single rhino. So if you're a farmer and like if you want to have 10 rhinos, you're basically gonna need one of the largest farms in the world in order to house these 10 rhinos. And then you can't really put a hell of a lot of other animals on that farm because they're gonna start competing with the rhino for food. So you just run into this issue of this is way too expensive, so I can't make money off of this, meaning there's no point for me to do this. All behavior is motivated by self-interest, even if it seems altruistic. Oh, Jank, I literally didn't know what you're talking about. Yes. So it's an interesting concept, yeah? And it's not necessarily... it's not necessarily factual. We don't know yet. Obviously, psychology being what it is guesswork. But the truth is, it makes sense to me logically. If I think about it logically, everything that we do that is sort of meant to be altruistic. So if you go to a soup kitchen, yeah? The very fact that you're going to the soup kitchen makes you feel good. Therefore, it is no longer altruistic. Because the fact that you're feeling good about going to the soup kitchen and you want other people to see that you're going to the soup kitchen means that you're not actually doing it for no gain. You are gaining something from that. Because the only true act of altruism would be an act where you feel completely and utterly neutral about the action. Yeah, so for you, there is literally zero benefit to this action. You're doing it, and only other people are actually garnering any sort of benefit from that. So it sort of makes logical sense to me. I'm not, however, certain if it would turn out that it is the case, because we could make the argument it's still altruistic even if it makes you feel good. Yeah, because you could make the argument you're not doing it for that feeling of feeling good. You're just doing it because you want to do good for others. So then there we would have to start implementing or sort of inserting motivations. Is it your motivations that make something altruistic or selfish? Because if your motivations is... So here's a good example of this would be someone who goes to the soup kitchen, does not tweet it out, does not tell anyone about it. They literally just go to the soup kitchen and they serve the people at the soup kitchen, right? Versus another guy, so guy B, that goes to the soup kitchen, takes a selfie of himself, puts it on Instagram. Oh my god, guys, on my way to the soup kitchen. And then another selfie at the soup kitchen showing the line of the people that he's feeding and maybe a fucking reel where he's putting food into the guy's plate. That guy, so guy A may be altruistic because guy A did what he did, and yes, it made him feel good, but his motivations were purely selfless. So his motivations were literally to go help people at the soup kitchen. Guy B, on the other hand, wanted to feel good first and foremost, but also wanted other people to see what a good person they were, and therefore, that's not altruism. So there's two ways of looking at it, I suppose, and I'm not entirely sure which one of the two ways would be correct. Kit Kat, thank you for the Prime sub, really appreciate that. 2 months in a row. Thank you. Really appreciate that. This reminds me of Varsity. What reminds you of Varsity? The Hardcorean, thanks for the first time chat, dude. Really appreciate that. Hey, appreciate your YouTube vids. Came to check out the stream. Bro. Did you come on the wrong day? I'm lying. No day is good on this stream. No, happy to have you here, bro. Welcome. I'm glad you're enjoying the YouTube videos. They are the most low effort, low quality videos I could possibly fucking make. They argue no altruism because you are making yourself feel good or relieving guilt for your position in life, etc. Makes sense. I don't know if... Because it could just be that our understanding or our concept of altruism is wrong, yeah? Because the concept of altruism, the definition of it, is a selfless act. It's something that you gain absolutely nothing from. It might just be that concept is flawed because the concept itself can never actually apply to human beings. Now, if you have a concept that describes a thing, but that concept can literally not be applied to the species for which that concept was invented, then perhaps that concept is wrong. It's like communism. The concept of communism will work if human beings were ants. So therefore, the concept of communism is bonkers. It's a complete wrong concept. Because it only works if it's not human beings. Or it could maybe work if you have an alien species that is literally not like human beings. So therefore, you would also have to change the definition of communism in order for communism to actually work in the real world. But does the motivation matter if good is being done anyway? No. What we're arguing sort of a philosophical thing here. It doesn't matter. If you're doing good, you're doing good, and I applaud you for it, right? But no, we are 100% arguing a philosophical thing here. There is no gain from this conversation outside of basically wasting time and me having coffee. Because at the end of the day, we have to just look at... I think it's far more important to look at the net value of something. This is actually, by the way, a very interesting conversation that me and my brother were having the other day. Guy B, in your example, sounds like a sociopathic narcissist to me. So you're basically describing, Flory, every single person on Instagram. So, yeah, that is exactly what it is, right? Or every single person actually on social media. You know, it's insane to me when I look at social media. So I am so bad at social media. I'm absolutely fucking terrible at social media. Grand Nagas, how you doing? Because I don't actually think things that I do in my life is that interesting. You know, when I go to the restaurant, half the time I forget to take a picture of the food because I just think it's food. Why the fuck would I take a picture of it? When I do remember that, oh wait, I am a content creator and I should probably put stuff on Instagram, I can never think about something that would be interesting enough that other people on Instagram would actually want to fucking see it. When I'm tweeting as well, it's very hard for me to tweet things like just random stuff that I'm doing because it's like, who the fuck gives a shit what I'm doing? You know, I don't see why anyone would care about this. So I'm very fucking bad. Basically, I just tweet my thoughts and I take pictures on Instagram when I can remember. So that's basically what I am. There's me people on Twitter echo. Twitter is just a cesspool. No, people on Twitter just have, like, I'm pretty convinced if you want to have a successful Twitter career, the base way to do that is to have an IQ lower than 95. I'm not saying that there aren't very smart people that also have very successful Twitter careers, but overall, in general, if your IQ was higher than 95, you would struggle to really get in to the Twitterverse. Because you have to be very stupid in order to fit in to the vast majority of conversations on Twitter, right? Vast majority. Yeah, lower than 95. 95 is like base level, you know, lower than 95. Although it does depend, because every country has different different sort of valuations of IQ, you know. So, for example, in South Africa, 140 is considered extremely high. Based on our IQ test, if you score 140, you're like genius levels, yeah? But then I know there's IQ tests where genius levels are only at 170. So in South Africa, 95 is sort of like fucking borderline, right? You are basically smart enough to go to school, but that's it. Or you have to be a troll. Yeah, trolls do pretty well there as well. I agree. People who post good acts are reaching out for a pat on the back rather than just doing it without seeking approval. Keanu Reeves comes to mind. He does so much good and doesn't see himself as this higher than other stunts that most celebs have. He can travel on the subways, for God's sake. Keanu Reeves is like one of the greatest guys I've ever seen. It's so interesting that he would actually be like that, considering how hoi polloi. Like, I fucking hate celebrities. I hate celebrities with a passion. I hate Hollywood with a passion. But okay, so I was telling you guys about this interesting philosophical concept. So my brother and I, we were talking about good and evil, right? And more specifically, for this example, think about the idea of God. Imagine that there is a God. Imagine that there is a heaven. And you can go to heaven. You can go to hell, right? So we're talking about an omnipresent being that will be able to judge your life from start to finish, all of your acts. What would that being objectively judge your life on, right? So this is where we get to the act of good and evil. Is there such a thing as good versus evil? Now, obviously, morally, we can say, yes, this is evil, yes, this is good. Why not? But if you're thinking about an omnipresent being that literally is the alpha, the omega, the start, the finish, it sees the whole of the timeline literally from the beginning to the end and can be on all of that timeline at the same time. Then the argument becomes, how does that being judge good versus evil? And we're going to use the most egregious example here, Hitler. Yeah? How would that being judge Hitler? Now, I don't want you to think about this emotionally. Approach this from a logical standpoint. How do you believe a being of omnipresent, all-knowing power, how do you believe that being would judge Hitler? Basically, I'm asking you, do you think Hitler is in heaven or hell? Achibachi, how are you doing? And I realize this is a very dangerous conversation we're having here. And if you're offended by this, too bad. You'll eventually believe it. Twitter doesn't exist, but Twitter is so fun. There's so many stupid people on Twitter. How can you not like Twitter? I'm German, so I'm not answering. Grand Nagus, no, answer. This is a philosophical discussion. 100% philosophical. There's no right or wrong answers here, because I think there's an interesting thing around good versus evil. I would guess that it wouldn't care much. If it can see all of time, then I would assume Hitler would be a tiny blip on the universe's timeline. It would probably have more important things to worry about. Well, no. In this instance, this God really does care. It looks at your entire life, and it makes a decision on whether or not you are evil. Right? Now, here's where things get interesting. It depends on what we believe this God values more. Does this God value your direct actions and their direct consequences? Or does this God value net consequences? In other words, let's imagine that you did a couple of things. So we know what Hitler did. Let's imagine Hitler's entire life. But what if we could, through a mathematical equation, determine that all of Hitler's very bad acts actually, 100 years in the future, set in motion a bunch of things that led to a net good? So, because of those incredibly monstrous acts that was done by Hitler in the 1940s, but now, in the year 2020, because of that, there is a hell of a lot of net good that came out of that. How would God judge Hitler? Would he judge Hitler on what he did in the 1940s, or would he judge Hitler on all of his actions and the implications that all of his actions had on the whole of the timeline? Because we already know certain things, right? Thanks to... Well, I don't want to say thanks to, because it was fucking inhumane. But because of the medical practices of the Nazis in the 1940s, medicine was basically pushed forward almost 200 years in the future. Thanks to what they did. Because, you see, they bypassed the whole ethical shit. They just practiced on humans, you know? Oh, we've got a new thing that we're going to inject people with. Fuck it. Let's just inject the people straight up. It doesn't really matter. Today, we have to go animals and see if the animals react, and then we can maybe eventually make a case for humans. You know, so it becomes much harder to actually do medicine, because you can't just do it straight on humans. But, you know, Hitler didn't really have that fucking objection to medicine, and so he just injected whoever the fuck he wanted, straight off the bat. So, the argument, and because of Hitler, we could probably argue that, oh my god, he actually, he probably really sort of catapulted science, as well as the introduction of technology, things like that. So you could make an argument that while, yes, what he did there was fucking evil, the future that came out of that led to a lot of breakthroughs that really improved human life as a result of that. So then the question becomes, how does God judge? How would God, an omniscient, omnipresent God, how would he act the action, or how would he judge the actions of an individual? On their immediate consequences or on the net benefit? So if their actions led to a net negative over the course of 100 or 200 or 300 years, then they are guilty, they're evil, they go to hell. But if their actions over the course of 100, 200, 300 years is positive, then they go to heaven and they're forgiven, sort of thing. So it is purely philosophical what we're discussing here. We're literally not talking about the real world here, because I think all of us want to think Hitler goes to hell. I'm with you there. Personally, I would be very surprised if he didn't, and also a little bit pissed off if he didn't go to hell. But this is a philosophical discussion. We are talking about philosophical things here. That God wouldn't be omniscient, and it would be some pretty low-tier God. Ilyusha, what makes you say that? King Julian, yes, but I think you guys are completely focusing on the wrong thing here. Right? You're focusing on the individual thing. You're not focusing on the philosophical thing. Because this is a philosophical discussion. It's a philosophical exercise. The exercise is quite literally, how do we believe God judges humans? Does he judge us based on our actions, or does he judge us based on the consequences of our actions? That's the question we have to ask ourselves, right? He would be judged on his own thoughts about his own actions versus the results of the actions. The individual would decide for themselves. If you look back and think you did bad, you would go to hell. Jackmaster, interesting thought. Interesting thought. So basically, you would determine where you go, not God. So you're basically saying it would be sort of like the Harry Potter sorting hat kind of thing, right? Neither. He would be judged on his motives. Okay. People always present God as omnipotent and omniscient, isn't it? Then if he is all-powerful and all-knowing, then all would be in according to that God's plan, wouldn't it? Yes, Ellie. Technically, yes. Technically, yes. Again, my granddad was almost shot by a German soldier, being a Danish railroad engineer, so I wouldn't exist had he shot him, and I'm German. Grandagger, yeah, obviously. Look, we're not looking at the individual actions and how that impacted individual people. Yeah, that's not what we're looking at. That's why I'm continuously saying this is philosophical in nature. You cannot look at this conversation and think, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. You can't be emotionally involved in this conversation at all. You have to remove yourself emotionally and just look at the sort of 10,000 foot view of this thing. The sorting hat analogy works well. Yeah, I think so. I don't know about your god, but mine judges every individual based on their likeness to Steve Irwin, the Croc Hunter. This is a good judgment. Like, I think that's a good way of judging people, to be fair. Changed in the world, so I think the god would judge him on his motives. Because after his death, anything that happened to him couldn't affect the world. Well, anything that happens to him after his death, yes, but his actions could still influence the world, right? Arkanox, how you doing, brother? It's just, there's literally no right or wrong answer here, guys. Because none of us would know. Unless you have been able to see the face of God, unless you've been able to talk to God specifically and ask him this question, there is literally no right or wrong answer. That's why philosophy can be so fucking tiring and so annoying, because philosophically speaking, mostly there is no right or wrong answer. If we go to the complete philosophical side, every guy that kills someone is actually postponing overpopulation, therefore stopping the resource consumption, so literally every murderer gets a free pass in heaven. Ferrarotti, that's only if you believe in the concept of overpopulation, though. Which you shouldn't, in my opinion, but that's if you believe that human beings will eventually overpopulate the Earth, then yes, maybe. But the fact of the matter is, most of the evidence now points to the fact that human beings are not only not overpopulating the Earth, but in fact, we may actually be contributing to the end of our own existence. Because people aren't having anywhere near enough babies, which is actually a much bigger problem. But that's a whole different discussion. That's interesting. Yeah, Hitler goes to hell in the distant future. He gets a pardon for good service or something. It'll be just like prison. Hey, so yeah, it also, I guess, there, if we get into a religious conversation, you'd have to start asking, do you actually believe in hell? Because that would be a whole different discussion as well. J-Strex, how you doing, bro? Thanks for the first time chat. I think the problem with that kind of question is that we have absolutely no insight in the ways of how a god works. Very true. There are these books about all these different religions on this world, and they have all been written by humans. So maybe God is just a sadist, and he wouldn't know. So, Jishris, this is why I sort of, from the beginning, at least created some sort of rules for this God, right? It is omnipotent, omnipresent, and omniscient, yeah? It is literally the Alpha and the Omega. So it sees the whole timeline from the beginning to the end. That is God. That's the God that does the judging here. So our question is literally just, how would this God judge? Elon Musk believes the carrying capacity of the Earth is something like 10 times our current population. So I think Elon Musk is a little bit wrong. I could myself be wrong, but I do think Elon Musk is a little bit wrong. That said, though, human beings right now produce enough food on the planet every single day to feed about 13 billion people, rather than just the 7 billion people that we are right now. That's literally with the technology that we have today. That's excluding things that we don't even do yet, like vertical farming, which we should really start doing, but we're not doing that yet. Yeah, at least not en masse. But right now, with the technologies we have right now, we are producing enough food to feed at least 13 billion people. The resources that we have on this earth, at least if you start thinking about moving to more green sources of energy, moving to nuclear as an energy source, we would have more than enough energy to sustain most likely far higher than 13 billion people on the planet. So the fact of the matter is, the earth still has a lot of space for human population and for the human species to multiply with. Now, there is sort of an interesting thing where, according to most, 13 billion appears to be sort of the equilibrium moment for most people. Like, most of the experts say that around about 13 billion, human beings will start to reach what is called equilibrium. So this would be a moment where the human race would have... There would be people that have new babies in order to replenish the work supply and the workforce and things like that. But not everyone is going to have new children. And it is sort of going to reach a place where it's just going to stand still at about 13 billion people. It's not going to go higher. It's not going to go lower. It's just sort of going to be in that region. So, but that's sort of like... That's guesswork. Like informed guesswork, at least, for the most part. Be useful because he couldn't act. Interesting thought, Witch Doctor. Resources by September, though. Yeah, but this is because of our lack of use of technology. The bad technology that we still have. Specifically when you talk about our ability to live within equilibrium of our own society, with our own environment, right? But that's not something that technology can't solve. The fact of the matter is, we are an incredibly wasteful species. And if we don't start embracing technologies that actively help fix that wasteful nature of ours, yeah, we're going to continue to fucking run out of resources quite early. Yeah, Akko is probably not going to have... How would I have kids? How? I can't make my own babies, am I right? Yeah, I do believe that we need to embrace technologies that allow us to extract our resources first and foremost far more optimally and also far more efficiently. I think right now human beings are incredibly inefficient. You know, in order to extract energy, we oftentimes use far more energy to do the extraction of the energy that we're extracting. That needs to change. If you think about solar panels, they are incredibly inefficient to what they should be able to do. They don't even... I think the newest solar panels that we have only capture like 30% of the energy that they could capture is captured by solar panels. So we obviously need to do a better job of that. we could definitely figure out better ways to store energy. We should do more in researching nuclear, because I personally believe that nuclear is the future of humanity. So at the end of the day, there is so much that we still need to improve upon. We just need to embrace that. We need to embrace the fact that we need technology if we are going to live in equilibrium with our society. Because this is sort of where, this is where I hate the political sides of things. I hate when things become political, because it seems so often, more often than not, that depending on the political party that you belong to, you're going to be stupid in different ways. And that really pisses me off. Like, the Democrats believe that, no, fuck nuclear, fuck everything. We should have solar and wind power. Okay. Germany is shutting down almost all of their nuclear power plants. I believe Germany only have 3 nuclear power plants left. I think it's something like 60 or 70% of all of Germany's electricity or energy is produced by renewable energy. And Germany's energy is 3 times higher than France, which is a country where 95% of all of their energy is produced by nuclear. And consider this, France is actually much, much better when it comes to carbon footprint than Germany. Their carbon footprint is much lower than Germany's. So the answer, or the truth is that purely banking on renewable energy, so purely banking on solar and wind, is not an option. Because solar and wind can only work once we can figure out how to store energy, right? We have to be able to figure out, how do we take the energy? Because believe it or not, the sun does not shine 24 hours a day. As much as you fucking wanted to, it doesn't, yeah? So we need to figure out, how do I take the energy that comes during the day and store it for the nighttime? The problem right now is the way we store it is incredibly inefficient and also incredibly fucking expensive. So it's sort of fucking stupid, right, to try to store all of that energy to make sure that you can actually give it over to everyone else. No, I'm not forgetting about any energies, but I'm not going to sit here and list off all of the different kind of energies, because that's not really the point of this conversation. Yes, you have geothermal, you have hydro, which can also be used, right? You have hybrids that can be used. So there's a lot of energy types that you can use. And obviously, we do want to make use of all of those to make sure that it is the best possible mix. But I just feel like whenever you talk to progressives and sort of, like, not even Democrats, when you talk to progressives and lefties, they're like, no nuclear. We just need to go to renewable. And it's like, yeah, you do realize if we all go to renewable, you wouldn't be able to afford your fucking energy, right? It would be so fucking expensive. Switching on the light, you would punch people out if they do that in your house. You'd rather sit there by candlelight than switch on a light because it's so fucking expensive. So you do want to have some kind of mix between the two, yeah? You want to have nuclear because nuclear is the most efficient way of extracting energy from the planet. And then you also want renewable, because we don't just want nuclear power, you know? It's, why not use the sun? It's fucking there, right? It doesn't really matter, yeah? Alricia, holy shit, thank you so much for the tier 1 sub, really appreciate that. Wait, you subscribed for 6 months at tier 1. Alricia, really appreciate that. Welcome to the channel. Thank you, thank you, thank you. But then you go to the conservatives, right? The right-wingers, and they're like, no, fuck oil. Yes, please. I love my gas muscle car. And it's like, bro, we can't live that way. Like, we seriously can't fucking live that way. Surely the planet matters at least a little. Like, sure, I get it. You don't want to plant a tree every single fucking month. Yeah, I get that. You don't have to do that. But at least can we agree that the planet we call home matters a tiny fucking bit? Like, maybe we don't pollute the planet to the point where it just fucking dies. Which it wouldn't. It would kill us before it dies. The planet will be fine. We'll be fucked, right? So it just seems like whenever you belong to a specific political party, your ideas are stupid in different ways. But both ideas are fucking stupid. It's just different. Both sides are the loudest. That is true, Dakeen. Notice, though, how I switched my use of the word conservative to right-wing, and how I switched my use of the word liberal to lefties and far left, not liberal. Because I do think if you go to the conservative and the liberal, so the people that is closer to the center right, the center left people, they have a discussion that they can have that is actually worth having. Because the conservative has the right of it. We can't destroy the world's economy just to be green. That wouldn't work because it would lead to a lot more death. And the liberal has a point when it says, listen, we don't want to destroy the world's economy, but we can also not fucking continue down this road. We would like clean air to fucking breathe. And we would like it if there isn't so much pollution everywhere, right? It would be nice for our planet. So how about we come together and we have a discussion about how do we achieve that in the most efficient way possible? Because it's also cheaper. Nuclear is expensive at the beginning, right? So building a nuclear power plant and actually getting it up and running. But in the long term, nuclear is like one of the cheapest ways to actually get energy. So I don't see why we would be running away from that. Tyson, how you doing, bro? Thanks for the first time chat. Really appreciate that. Most people have a political party where they like maybe 50% of the policies. They just choose whichever one is least bad. No normal people are satisfied with 35% of any political party. I'm dissatisfied with 100% of all political parties. What does that make me? Everything a politician says is a lie, including and the. Every single thing that comes out of a politician's mouth is a lie, including the words and the. So, yeah, I 100% disagree with every single political party. It doesn't matter which one it is. You can literally name any political party and I will not agree with anything they say. As soon as a politician says it, I make a 180 U-turn. I just fucking run away. Like, a politician, if I hear a politician say the words, oxygen is good for you, I will go live in a fucking carbon chamber. Because I don't know what they put in that oxygen, but I don't trust them. Like, I really fucking dislike politicians. Factories pollute more than any one of us collectively ever will. True, but we should also try to figure that out, right? Is to give me a tax break so they earn 1% of my respect. Sorry, Akko can't agree. That's fine. I think most people are scared of nuclear because they're still thinking of old technology. Nuclear tech has come a long way. So how many people do you think in chat, how many people do you think have died over the last, I think it's 20 years, thanks to nuclear? Died thanks to nuclear. All in all, in the last 20 years, how many people do you think died to nuclear? I think it's actually more. I think it's like the last 40 years. 30 or 40 years. I believe it currently sits at 95. 95 people that died because of nuclear. It's some low shit like that. It's like so fucking low. It does, however, that number does exclude people who suffer from nuclear effects. So thanks to Chernobyl, there are a lot of people that do suffer the effects. But even in Chernobyl, the actual deaths that came from Chernobyl was extremely low, right? It was extremely low. More people died in Chernobyl thanks to panic trying to get away from the explosion and the meltdown than the meltdown actually killed in the end. So the fact of the matter is nuclear is and has always been the safest form of energy production. The problem is just when nuclear fails, it fails spectacularly. And people notice it, right? Because you can still not go to Chernobyl because it's still fucking radioactive. So when nuclear fails, yes, it does cause a lot of issues. But nuclear in and of itself is not it's not that dangerous. Also, don't forget that Chernobyl was from incompetence. True. Was built in active earthquake tsunami land. On Chernobyl in the tens of thousands? No. Chernobyl's death figures were actually very low. There really wasn't that many people that died. of the first responders, also, it was something like 12 or 13 first responders or some shit that died. My numbers can be off here, by the way, but it's not off by thousands. It could be off by like 10, maybe 20 people. But because this was years ago. I read about Chernobyl probably like 6 years ago. Before it actually came out. Yeah. No, this is not USSR numbers. This is this is once the world got involved. Because remember, the USSR couldn't put a stop to it. And that nuclear clouds were literally going all over Europe. So once the USSR couldn't put a stop to it, the USSR actually invited the world in. So this is actually the world's numbers. The world did get access to Chernobyl, so they could actually figure out what happened there. It's actually, because remember, the problem with Chernobyl is it was on a mass scale, and it was also at a time that we weren't absolutely sure what would happen. So there was a lot of panic around Chernobyl and what could ultimately happen. But as it turns out, the human body can actually withstand some radiation for a small amount of time, right? Even the people that were at the core, like they were there when it fucking erupted for the first time. I believe they had something like 12 minutes or something to get out without any sort of lasting effects, thanks to it. Like if they immediately started running away, they would have gotten away without really any effects. The people who died were the people who, at the time, we weren't quite sure what it does when something like this happens, because it never happened before. So they didn't think that the cores were exposed, so they did stupid shit. But at the end of the day, I think a lot of people are scared of nuclear, and it's only because they're not educated on what nuclear actually does. Direct deaths, very low, but we don't know the real cost of the accumulated radioactive materials and the illnesses caused by them to the millions who got affected. I think we do know to some extent. I can be wrong, but I watched the documentary, like I said, this was years ago, but there was a documentary actually where they did look on it, right? Like they looked into everyone that got they looked into everyone that got ill. They tracked everyone that lived near Chernobyl. Like they tracked all of that, and they still don't find that many issues with it. Ferrotti, maybe, but anyway, how you doing, bro? Thanks for the first time chat. What language am I speaking? Are you talking about what language am I speaking right now, or what is my first language? Because what I'm speaking right now is English. If that doesn't come across, my English isn't nearly as good as I thought it was. If you're asking what is my actual language, my first language, that's Afrikaans. Super Snoot Pooper, how you doing, brother? So, Ferrotti, South Africa, for example, we have a nuclear reactor. Right? We have a nuclear power station, Kubar, which is literally close to where I live. The nuclear power plant. And South Africa isn't a first world country. Nuclear waste storage is actually quite easy. You are correct when you have governments that don't really give a fuck, right? And you have governments that sort of play around with that nuclear waste, dropping it into the ocean or some shit like that, because they don't actually want to spend money on actually literally storing that shit. Yes, that could be a problem. But if you have people that is at least a little bit responsible, it should not be a problem. Dakeen, I actually have to order an AC today. That's one of the things I want to do today. The Earth and a massive solar sheet. Elon's got this. Jesus. The Earth, you would not want to live on the Earth if the entire surface of the Earth was covered in solar panels. The big hole, line hole with concrete stone, when nuclear waste can be repurposed also. So there's currently, I know Bill Gates, I don't like the fuck, but I do think this is a good thing that he's doing. By the way, Old Minecraft, thanks for the follow, dude, really appreciate that. Bill Gates is currently investing quite heavily in what they call second and third phase nuclear power, right? So right now, we are pretty good at first phase nuclear extraction. So we can extract energy from uranium. The problem is that what we call depleted uranium actually still has about 90% of all of its energy inside that uranium. It's not depleted. It's just to the point where it's too unstable for us to actually extract. So we can't actually extract more energy from that uranium without causing meltdowns, and without risking causing meltdowns at least. So that's why we call it depleted. But the problem is if it was truly depleted, it would no longer be nuclear, like it would no longer be radioactive. The issue is we don't have the technology yet. So we have companies that is investing quite heavily in trying to figure out, all right, how do we do second and third phase extracting? So how do we use the nuclear or the uranium bars or rods that is now sort of depleted but not depleted? How can we use those to extract the rest of that energy? So they think they're sort of close to getting to 30%. So they'll take it from 90% down to 30%. So it will still be 30% radioactive, and 30% of its energy capacity will still be inside, but they should be able to remove up to at least, if they can manage that technology, we have so much nuclear waste that they can start to build power plants for that will use, all of that as well. So I think there's still a long way to go with nuclear technology. And once we can figure out how to, and this is also part of that equilibrium thing, right? That's part of being that sort of vril society where if we do use a uranium rod to extract energy, we extract 100% of that energy. Yeah? Like we have to learn how to extract all of it from it, because right now we are wasting a shit ton of material, and nuclear material specifically, because we don't know how to fucking extract the rest of it. Well, we do know how, but it would be dangerous to do. We can only use uranium-245, which is the fissile isotope, which is less than 1% of natural uranium. Witch Doctor, yes, that's what I've heard as well. I'm not an expert on this, so I just read and watch a lot of the experts talk about stuff like this, because I find it interesting. I usually find, Mr. Torito, thanks for the follow, dude, really appreciate that. I usually find conversations about how humans can live more efficiently very, very interesting. Also, if they extract all the energy, the storage of the waste would be so much cheaper since it's almost harmless. Well, if we could extract all of the energy, there wouldn't be such a thing as nuclear waste, because it would literally not be radioactive anymore. You've literally extracted all of its energy. So at that point, you would effectively it would just be waste, which you could probably build new stuff out of if you really wanted to, right? If we could figure out how to do fusion, that's of course the ultimate goal. If we could, the real ultimate goal would be fusion, which I don't think we can do right now. I know they're trying, and I think China just broke a new record, didn't they? China just managed to keep their fusion reactor 100% up for a while, right? Slave to the Cross, how you doing, bro? The atomic bombs that were dropped weren't dirty like a nuclear disaster in a power plant. It's not an option. Slave to the Cross, what do you mean? King Julian, how the fuck would nuclear be a death sentence? You should educate yourself on that. That is a moronic take, if I've ever heard one. Fusion would be the literal end of... I don't think people even realize this, but fusion would literally be the end of our energy problems. It would solve all of our energy problems overnight if we could do fusion, because fusion is effectively unlimited energy. It's just forever, just fucking massive amounts of energy because we are effectively building our own sun. To Julian, that the bombs dropped weren't that harmful in terms of fallout. Yeah, but why are you talking about bombs? No one is okay with nuclear bombs. We're literally talking about using nuclear to build fucking, or to give us energy. No one is saying let's also build some fucking bombs. Like, Jesus, you do realize that those are not the same, right? The people that is working on a nuclear power plant aren't also in their free time building some nukes for the governments to fucking blow up, right? It's not like, what did you do today? Well, I extracted a bit of energy to give people electricity, and then also built a nuclear fucking bomb in my free time. Like, that's not what happens there. Those two things are not the same. Nuclear does not mean bombs. Bombs are so different than nuclear energy. What a stupid take. Yeah, there have been living for like 40 years now. Nuclear in itself is not bad, like any science, and bad stuff comes from people. Very true. But very true. It's hilarious that the worst green energy, solar panels, are technically really bad fusion energy capturers. I wish we could get... Like, we have to start investing in all of that things, you know? We have to start investing in all of those things. Nuclear, solar, wind, geothermal, hydro. We are so incredibly inept. If you think about it, it actually makes you a little bit angry. We are so inept at extracting energy from our world. And there's so much energy there, you know? How is it not, Echo? Answer me that have you not heard of all the bad and unnecessary shit that has happened because of nuclear power opposed to what would have happened if we didn't have nuclear? King Julian, like what? Name the bad shit that happened thanks to nuclear. Because we spoke about Chernobyl. We spoke about Fukushima. You do realize that coal have killed more people than both of those things combined, right? And not by a little. By like thousands upon thousands percentages more people died thanks to coal than nuclear. So what the fuck are you saying? There is always going to be learning curves, and yes, some people will literally die thanks to the learning curves that we go through. But does that mean we should just not advance at all? Should we be so afraid of advancement that we just stand still and basically never move anywhere? Nuclear is, Ninja Fox, how you doing, brother? Nuclear is the cleanest energy. You just lock the residue for some 100 years. Still is not active. Done. Nuclear is. I 100% agree with you there. Nuclear weapons is not nuclear energy. There's been 2 nuclear energy disasters that I can think of. One was because of human errors, Chernobyl and Fukushima, tsunami, natural disaster. Yeah, to be fair though, I've heard criticisms of Japan because they decided to build that nuclear power reactor there. Because you shouldn't actually build nuclear power reactors where you know natural disasters can take place. And if you do, right, you have to build contingencies within that. You have to build contingencies within so that those nuclear power reactors can actually withstand the natural disasters that's going to happen. And by the way, they did have contingencies because no one died thanks to Fukushima. Like, the nuclear reactor melting down didn't really cause that much damage because of the contingencies that they already had. Wise Donkey, how you doing, bro? Thanks for the first time chat. Yeah, well, I mean, sure, we could keep using oil and charcoal in order to produce energy. I just think it's fucking stupid. So here's the thing, and Elon Musk actually made this point, and I thought it was actually very eloquently put. I don't think that it is bad that we're using oil and, coal in order to produce energy. It is still very cheap to do. It's the cheapest method we have currently to extract energy. It's also one of the fastest ways. It takes about 4 to 6 years, I believe, to build. Actually, no, it takes about 2 to 4 years to build a coal power plant. It takes about 6 to 10 years to build a nuclear power plant. So if you need energy quick, coal is good. But here's the problem. We are going to run out. It's not a case of if we run out. It's we will run out. There is only so much coal. And unless you're saying, let's run out of coal and then wait, a couple of 100 million years for the new coal to be produced, we're going to run out of coal. We are also going to run out of oil. So why would you bet the future of humanity, which is literally energy dependent, on resources that is not infinite, that will end? Like, it's not a case of if, it's when. It will end. 100%, absolutely no question about it. So you're basically saying, fuck it, I'll make the worst gamble in the world on an energy source that I know isn't infinite, will end. Why are you doing that? But that causes a different problem. Yeah, well, even if you were to make coal out of trees, you would then destroy most of the forests in the world. And would you be able to replant those forests quick enough to actually keep sustaining the world? Probably not. You're going to run into so many issues. The fact of the matter is we need to have renewable energy. We need nuclear energy. It's not a case of maybe we can talk about it. It's because we need this. It's not really up for debate. We can debate how we get there. Yeah, that's fine. We can debate how long it should take us to get there. How should we switch over? Those are things that we can debate. But I don't think there is a fucking debate to be had around should we do it. I think if you're going to argue should we do it, you're a fucking moron. Because what happens if you don't? Then you just run out and then just one day all the lights are off? Can you imagine if the lights went out in on Earth tomorrow? What happens if all the electricity goes out tomorrow on Earth? Shadow Rodney, by the way, thanks for the tier 1 sub, dude. Really appreciate that. Welcome to the channel. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Everything stops. You won't be able to get food. You won't be able to get warmth. You won't be able to get cooling. You won't have water. You'll have nothing. Like, everything is done. We're not even getting to the nice things, right? We're not even getting to the Twitch stuff and the gaming. Our entire world is reliant on energy. We use more energy now than we've ever used in the past. You can't not have energy. So the idea that we're going to bank our world economy on an energy source that is literally depleting at an enormous rate is stupid. You're a moron if you think that's even a fucking possibility. With oil and coal, don't hear anywhere near as many deaths from there? Okay, King Julian, you must be trolling or you're stupid. Speaking of energy, don't people in South Africa use air conditioners? I see you sweating a lot. We do use air conditioners. I actually have to order an air conditioner today. But we do use air conditioners, yes. It's not that hot today, but the problem is I would have to open that door to get proper airflow into the room. Like, there's a massive wind today outside, so it's not that bad. But keeping that door open is a mess. So, because then the curtains get over my head. Like, literally, if I open the door, the curtains hit me in the back of the head on both sides. I get fucking hit by curtains. So, it's just easier to keep the door closed and have the fan on for now. But I will be ordering an air conditioner later today. I'm neither. I've just been drinking. This makes sense, King Julian. Aqua, I really wish you're much, much further in the MSQ so we can spew references regarding this talk. Ellie, we'll get further into the MSQ, I promise. Everyone without a farm would starve because logistics would be decimated. People with farms would basically deal with a zombie apocalypse of half-starved city people. Yeah, well, some people might survive, but a lot of people will die. This is true. You think about all of the people... Okay, so suddenly all of the people in hospital is dead, yeah? All of the people on respirators, all of the people all of the people on heart, heart machines, everyone in hospital almost dies almost immediately, right? If you do get ill, good luck. You're not going to get medicine. We cannot live without energy. We've built a world that is super reliant on energy. Cold air and doesn't just blow air in a general direction. Oh, no. I'm going to get a proper air conditioner. But I need to get a couple of other things as well today. So it's not just an air conditioner. But before I do that, let me just see if there's a new video on the drive that I need to upload. And at the same time, we have almost no redundancy in your distribution. Time, how you doing, bro? What do you mean no redundancy in my distribution? In our... What do you mean? It wouldn't be instant either. Government